The main topic today. Today we have Sony shutting down the PSP and the PS3 and Vita stores.
Yeah.
A little later on, we'll go into talk about the disk drive, what's going on with that. Should it go? Should it stay? Because console are trying to get rid of that. And then a little bit later, if we have time, we'll get into about if the current gen consoles, which will soon be last gen, they should be discontinued.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Yeah. So Sony shutting down the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita stores. I'm not a big fan of that because I own a PS3, and while I've never bought any games, I did plan to, but knowing that it's now a ticking time bomb, I kind of don't want to.
Oh yeah, I can see what you mean there with the whole, especially with the fact that a lot of people kind of, I guess, thought the PS Vita would last a little longer, just because it was kind of in between generations,
Yeah, it was a handheld, but you wouldn't think they'd kill it off that quick. It still had a big market in Japan,
Oh yeah, especially with some JRPGs. There were, from what I hear, there were a ton of JRPGs made in Japan exclusives.
Oh yeah, I guess us in the West, we just didn't like it. I guess it's how Japan didn't really understand the Xbox One is too Western. I guess the PS Vita wasn't Western enough.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, okay. No, go ahead.
It's interesting though, because if you think about it, if they're taking down the PS3 store, that won't affect everyone, of course. Not everyone still has a PS3, but a lot of people still do.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention, most people are still out here buying digital games on everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because for example, with me, I plan on, trying to get a PS3 eventually because, retro collector just like you. And that's really going to suck if it's shut down before I can get my PS3 because, well, first off, I have, I think, quite a few PS3 games just on my account. But not only that, it's going to, don't get me wrong, I prefer physical games. I'll probably try to get those when I can, but it's nice when I've got the money on my account, because it syncs across devices, your balance.
Yeah. Well, there is one thing. I don't know if you knew this, but they will be keeping up the servers to re-download games for a little bit.
Really?
But they haven't said how long they're going to keep those up.
Oh, okay.
So even if I do run out, by, I don't know, like the Sonic games that they ported, from last generation, they never released those physical. That's the only way you can get them. Because you can play them on PS Now, but that's streaming, and not everyone has amazing internet.
Yeah, not everyone has the internet for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that means once those go, and then once the ones on the Xbox 360 store go, those are gone.
Yeah, once the servers are down to re-download, especially for example, not to mention, here's another point, a lot of people, or a lot of developers might not have had a physical release for their game.
A lot of people just aim for a window, and now, because Sony, for some reason, in their endless vast knowledge, thought it would be a great idea to not tell anyone who might have been working on a game or is already an established developer that, hey, we're shutting down the store. So a lot of indie developers are just straight up canceling games that would have come out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean there. They, especially some of these smaller studios that might just not survive the downfall because they might have been working for the next hit game for their studio, and now they just have to stop the project or try to port it to the newer consoles.
Yeah, of course. And the market for the PS Vita was more niche. A lot of people were more up for playing indie games just because that's what was new.
Yeah. Not a lot of the big not a lot of the big developers decided to kind of port their games to the Vita.
Yeah. But then, it's not like these indie developers be like, oh, let's go and release it physical, because those cartridges to make for the PS Vita are really expensive because the market is dead. You can't really go out and make a new Vita game unless you go with limited run games. And even if you wanted to go through limited run games, they would have to think that your game was, good enough. They'd have to approve it, and you'd have to have a big enough budget to even get it a physical run at all.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that, because the PS Vita is it may have not had many, users in the West, and for all I know, most of the developers could have been, in the Japan area, and might have only released it to Japan consoles. But even then, without that notice, it could really be detrimental.
Yeah, there's one studio. I don't remember any of them off the top of my head because I don't own a Vita personally. I don't keep up with it too much.
Yeah.
But I do still know like news and stuff. But there was one developer whose game was supposed to come out 2 months before the store's closing. So I guess they're just going to release the game and you have 2 months to buy it before it's gone. That's it. No more.
Oh my
Finish.
gosh. Yeah.
It's,
Which in such a case, it could make the game, it could either make the game a rare commodity to buy PS Vitas with the game on it, or it could just straight up not be anything at all since it was from a small studio. Since, there's probably a ton of studios on there now.
Exactly. It's like what happened with Scott Pilgrim versus the World on the 360. Like, they removed it from the store, and if some Joe Smo sells it on eBay with the game installed, it can be worth thousands of dollars because you can't re-download it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's gone. It's like, what does that really mean for game preservation? Like I said, the Sonic games, I'm a big fan of Sonic, and while those ports aren't amazing, they're still easy to play ports that are decently affordable,
Oh, yeah.
But then like Sony walks in and they're like, it's fine, we don't need those. They're on like, PS Now. Go play them there. No one plays PS Now.
No.
They last month they gave out PS Now 1 month subscriptions for $1. I didn't hear anyone talking about it. I caught it on the last day by accident.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's almost, and to be honest, it's almost like Sony kind of wants these small, what, at the point, Sony kind of wants these smaller, almost failures of their consoles, like the PS Vita. Well, the PS Vita wasn't a big failure, but it was big enough. Like the PS Vita and PS Now, they almost kind of like trying to dig their own grave with their own shovel, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, they're kind of like trying to sweep all that under the rug. Just like, you don't need that. It's fine. Like, all the games from the PS4 on the PS5. But you have to remember, Sony really doesn't care about backwards compatibility, unlike Microsoft.
Yeah, I will say, because, so think about it. Like, even back in the day, like in the PS2 and PS3, backwards compatibility wasn't too bad, and it was a little more relevant, like, even then, they really didn't care. Only some models of the consoles kept backwards compatibility. I think Microsoft has had every single... Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think every single console they've released has been backwards compatible. At least some sort of older game from a previous generation.
It is. Even the Series X, because it uses pretty much the same software as the one, is still backwards compatible with a select amount of original Xbox games. Pretty much all of the 360 games are compatible with the one, and all the Xbox One games.
Oh yeah, that is like, not to mention, like they still, even to this day, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe to this day they still give away Xbox 360 games with their games with gold.
They do sometimes, not as much as they used to, but they still do it, and I like that. It shows that they still care, even if the games are like crappy or no one's ever heard of them. At least they care,
Yeah. Although I feel like, to relate this back to the whole PlayStation ecosystem, because that's kind of our topic right now.
Yeah.
I think if you compare that, to like Sony and PlayStation over here, it's almost like, not like they want to lose the backwards compatibility trend, because I'm sure they know just as well as you and I do that it's probably not going anywhere. People want that, but they almost are trying to kind of, I don't know, like, move it like into a situation where like we don't really have to do this because it's not known for our brand.
Of course, yeah. Like if they're like, if we're not known for backwards compatibility, then we don't have to keep it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of like a real jerk thing. Like they always use the same scapegoat. Oh, but the PS3's architecture is so hard to do. There are like people who like live in their mom's basement making incredible projects that can emulate PS3 games now. Like before, it was only like a fever dream. Like you would never imagine it would actually start happening. But now there are working prototype emulators out here, and Sony doesn't want to take the time to look at those and think, maybe we could make more money if we offered PS3 games. But instead, they're just going to keep porting God of War 3.
yeah. If it's not God of War 3, it's one of the GTA games. But yeah, they're just going to keep porting all these games. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean there.
I mean, I have nothing against older game ports. No. But if you're not going to like bother to make it natively so I don't have to keep buying the same game again, I don't want the console.
Oh no, I 100% agree there.
Yeah. But
So,
like, I mean, think about how much this might affect the used market, though, because if, say, for instance, someone's looking for a copy of GTA 5, right? Let's say it's about $17 usually physical, right? Like complete.
okay, yeah,
But then someone sees it on the store for like I think it's $20.
it's
They might be
30.
like, oh, is it 30?
Yeah, it's 30. Unless they've lowered it for the older consoles, but yeah.
I think they've lowered it for the older consoles. I think it's only 20 actually.
Yeah, I think you said that at one point. Anyway, continue.
Well, that guy who's like looking at it might be like, oh, well, I may as well just buy it digitally because it's cheaper. But then let's say a bunch of people try to think that, but the store's gone, so they're going to all rush to buy physical copies. That's going to drive the price of them up because price and demand.
Yep. Or well, supply and demand, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Supply and demand
Yeah.
raises price. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Like you have to remember, Sony's not even going to make any more money by making supply and demand because they don't make PS3 games anymore.
Oh yeah. That is like yeah. Yeah. It's I'm at a loss for words. It's yeah.
I don't really understand why they would do that. Like from a business perspective, it doesn't really make sense. And like there are still people out there who play the PS3. Like it isn't as big as it used to be,
No.
But like not everyone has the money to just upgrade consoles every time a new one comes out. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have a PS4 for the longest time. I only got one recently because
Yeah.
I'm not exactly the most wealthy person around.
Yeah. And
So I was still enjoying the PS3. Of course, I bought all my games physical, but if I had been buying them digital, this is like, stabbing the knee by Sony.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because it's when you buy digital, you're pretty much signing your rights away to own the game forever, if that makes any sense. Yes, if you get a physical disc, it can be scratched, and it can be, things can happen to it, but you can resurface it, or you can just protect it, Just keep it
Of
in
course.
its case, try to keep people from breaking it or scratching it. And that's kind of its own topic. A lot of people throw away cases, but that's not even like that. It's not that common anymore. Like
Yeah,
nowadays,
well-
you really have no excuse for a disc scratch as long as you keep it in the case.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean, but there are still people who throw away cases. But like, I really think that people shouldn't rely into digital as much as they do. Which I honestly think might segue perfectly into our next topic. If you don't mind me going there.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's about that time.
Yeah. Our next topic is should the disc drive go? Should we keep it around?
Yeah.
And as you know, I'm a pretty big retro collector. I have around 500 games, and I live by that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just flex
I
right there, why don't you?
I don't think they should get rid of the disc drive. I like the disc drive, for many reasons. I just find it more convenient than having to sit down and download massive games. But the problem with physical games nowadays is, let's say you buy GTA 5, right? And the download on the disc, obviously, because they don't really print new copies of GTA 5 anymore. They all have the same update now.
Yeah.
The download will be about 70 gigabytes, right?
Yeah.
But then, let's say you want to play GTA Online, the free online thing built into GTA 5. That's another 20 gigabytes, regardless if you have the physical version or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. Probably, and that's just because they released it after the disc was made. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And even though it'll only raise up the total count to, 80 gigabytes instead of making it like 90 because you think 70 plus 20, 90.
Yeah.
No, it'll go back and like delete old files it doesn't need, which is more compact, but it still seems like a waste of space, really.
Oh, yeah. And not to mention, like, GTA 5 and just in general is not the most... I mean, it's not the most optimized game for storage. Like, I had a friend tell me, like, a few days ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, but at least a few days ago, he was like, that this dude had actually managed to find a way to compress GTA 5's loading times way down, way lower than they are now. And I think Rockstar straight up bought out his code. I think he said it was like just a couple lines of code too. It shows you how unoptimized the game was. Now, I don't know how true this is, but Connor was telling me this, and I was just like, really,
Yeah, Yeah, companies don't really care much about how small their game is now because most people have the bigger hard drive options. I don't. All of my consoles are base 500 gigabytes because, as we've just discussed, I don't have
Yeah.
that much money.
Yeah. Not to
Um,
mention, at this point, unless you're concerned about warranties, it's kind of more worth it if you've got the know-how just to upgrade the hard drive yourself. Or
it
heck,
really
with the
is.
Xbox One, you can just plug in a USB hard drive if you don't know how.
You can actually do that to the PS4 too if it's above 250 gigabytes.
Yeah, okay. Which, I mean, I don't know why you'd be buying a hard drive smaller than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for people who just want one, like specifically for GTA 5, it's a big game.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
I've actually been considering deleting it off my hard drive recently because I already have it on the Xbox One. Do I really need it again? You know?
Yeah, I get that. Not to mention, oh, I will say, though, version differences do kind of make that a little bit harder of a decision. Not to mention, crossplay is kind of, yeah, it's not non-existent on GTA 5, from what I know.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's a real shame. I'd like to see them whenever they Rockstar, whenever they port, you know, which they are doing right now, port GTA 5 to the PS5 and Series X. If they would just add crossplay, it's been years.
Yeah.
Like,
And their excuse right now anyway, for their excuse is that the hackers on the 360 and PS3 can transfer their data to the Xbox One and keep all their hacked stuff. And while that's
yeah.
a good reason, it's not really valid nowadays because when you've got, I think if they do crossplay, I think the realistic case would be they just don't port, crossplay to the original PS3 and Xbox One, you know?
To remember though, they haven't even done that anyways. In reality, they haven't properly updated GTA Online for the PS3 and 360 in years. It has a way
really?
older update than it does on like PC, Xbox One, PS4.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Then yeah, that's definitely the case. Yeah, they have really no excuse now.
They really don't. I don't know what they're even talking about anymore. Like it's leagues behind. It's insane. I think they just keep the servers up because they make monetary,
Yeah,
more,
they make money from it.
Yeah, they don't make a lot, but they make some.
But yeah,
It's probably just enough, to slip another coin to the coin-operated servers. They're not good.
yeah. Oh, that sounds like a terrible idea. Just having to insert like a dime every time you want to keep every hour to keep the server running. That sounds terrible. Maybe that's why Microsoft servers are so bad.
It wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably have like Jeff,
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. No, even worse. It's just like a slot machine. They have to pull the lever, and it's like, will the server work for the next hour?
Yeah.
You have to get 777s to find out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Back towards more like the disk drive though. Like
Yeah.
for game preservation, you have to remember, like with Sony shutting down the PS3 stores, that's going to lose a lot of games. What happens when the PS4 gets to where the PS3 is now, and
Yeah.
they've shut it down? You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
games, DLC, like content
Yeah.
packs, it's all gone. That's it. If
Exactly.
you didn't have it before, it's gone.
And even if they give like a period like they are doing on PS3 to download it, I guess you get a little bit of a warning there. That's still like, what about the people who are like, I don't know, like in the process of getting it repaired, or like, I don't know, their controller broke or something, Like whenever they get it back, they might as well just not do it because they can't get their stuff downloaded, I guess if their controller's broken, then it's probably already downloaded, but
Well, yeah, maybe. But you have to remember though, whenever Nintendo went shut down the Wii, the
Wii shop,
yeah, that's what it is. They gave like a warning, right? Like nearly a year's worth warning, which seems like plenty for people to go out and spend their leftover Wii point they had any. But then after that, they were like, "Don't worry, guys, we're going to keep up the servers to re-download them." And then one day they just got tired of it and shut them down, pretty much without a proper warning. So there were tons of people who were like, "Oh, it's fine. I got an infinite time. I don't need to keep that on the Wii. Like I just hacked it. I need that extra SD card space." And then their games are gone.
Exactly.
It's just.
Not to mention with that, it kind of also encourages piracy a little bit too, Because if your games are gone, your best solution is to just homebrew it if you don't want to buy a physical copy.
Yeah,
and if they
apparently a
remove
lot
the
of
disk
people-
drive, there won't be physical copies when it gets to that point, If it's
Yeah.
gone on every model of the console. It's
Apparently, a
just
lot of people are starting to hack PS3s because they recently finally figured out how to do it consistently.
yeah,
But people have been hacking the PS Vita stores for not
yeah,
stores, consoles, to
consoles.
bypass the stores for
Yeah.
years. And that's why the PS Vita is still worth so much now, even though no one cares about it. It's because it's an ultimate
Yeah.
hacking machine.
Oh yeah, it's got the it's kind of almost like a mini Switch, Like it's got, or I guess more like a mini 3DS or a 3DS, because it's got like, I think if correct me wrong, I think it's got slightly more power than the 3DS, does it not?
Yeah, it is a bit more powerful than 3DS. Not by
So,
much, but
not by
enough
much,
for it
but-
to yeah.
Probably because I know the 3DS, the new systems have a little bit of a hard time running. I think it's PS2 emulation. It's PS1 or PS2 emulation, but I bet the PSP could. I mean, the PS Vita could probably do that. What the 3DS couldn't, because it's just barely underpowered for what the new consoles are of the 3DS line.
I believe that PS2 emulation is still way behind. I believe you're thinking PS1 emulation.
Okay,
that the
yeah, it's probably
3DS
PS1.
struggles with. Yeah, they actually run natively on the PS Vita.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they had in the store you could download all old PS1 games. That's another thing. Some PS1 games are spiking in price too because they're shutting down the PS3 store.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I guess they were readily available on the PS3 and Vita.
I know we haven't mentioned much about the PSP, but that's just because their stores have technically been down for a few years now because basically what they're doing is for the PSP they're just shutting down the re-download stores because to actually get the store itself to work properly you had to format your network really weird, set up your own private server. Pretty much no one ever done it.
Yeah.
So I don't think the PSP is much of a loss.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's much. Not to mention the PSP. It's kind of like in the shadow of the PS Vita at this point. Like if you've got the extra money, you might as well get a PS Vita because I don't think it's like $40 more for a PS Vita. I could be wrong on that, but
well, PSP prices are starting to jump up again. So
okay.
PSP is around $80, and depending on how nice of a condition you want your Vita, bottom dollar is probably about $150 if you don't bid on one or find a sketchy one.
Okay, yeah, so it's a little more than I thought, but even then, the extra power is worth it if you can afford it.
Yeah, exactly. The screen is way better on the Vita, especially if you buy the first model with that OLED screen.
Oh, and and not to mention, it also has dual thumbsticks as opposed to PSP.
Yeah, it makes PS1 games way easier to play. Also, the PSP could natively play PS1 games as well.
Oh, really? I actually was not expecting that until I don't know much about that console. Despite me having to help you hack it one time for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really nice console. I actually lost the thumbstick off mine, and I'm really upset about that.
Oh, really?
Because,
that's why. Okay.
Yeah, because they use it's literally a plastic cover that's over the part that actually moves.
Yeah.
But it was there whenever I had it. And it was there for a month, and one day it was just gone. I really don't know what happened to it.
Trust me, you know I have stuff that disappears like that all the time.
Yeah, maybe it fell off whenever I took it out of my pocket or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we should probably move back to the main topic at hand though, with the disc drives.
Yeah,
and relating it to that, because the way we got there was through the special editions and the preservation of that.
Yeah, let's take a second to talk about what really classifies as a special edition if you don't have the disc.
Yeah, because if you don't have anything physical, the most they can do is maybe send you a PDF of a steelbook or something, but that's just not the same. Because usually, special editions are associated with special memorabilia that go along with it. Mm-hmm. And you just can't get that with a digital release. Plus, even if you did, it could just be easily redistributed,
Yeah, easier to resell if you want to get rid of it. Look at Chibi Robo Ziplap's terrible game, by the way. But its special edition only came with an amiibo, and that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But imagine if instead it was just an amiibo that cost $20 extra with a download card on the inside. That would suck. It'd be pointless. No one would want it.
No.
But companies have been trying to do this for a while. They've been trying to secretly, let's take out the disc and put in a download code instead. That I feel like that subtracts from the experience a lot.
Oh yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 has a special edition that's just merchandise. You don't even get a download code. It's just merchandise.
Really? I don't have the special edition, so I wouldn't know. But I do own the game physical, thank God. Oh, I don't know. Well, actually, yeah, that is the thank God, because, that game's huge. But, yeah, it's almost Flight Simulator size.
Yeah, it comes on 2 Blu-ray discs. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if they're necessarily Blu-ray, but I do know it does come on 2. Yeah, you're right. It probably is Blu-ray, because otherwise it would not fit on 2 discs. Being a little over 100 gigabytes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and I think just real fast, I think in between this topic and the next topic, I might be able to pull somebody up here on the quote unquote stage, as they call it. Just get some opinions, because obviously it's nice to have a second opinion here in a moment right before we swap topics.
You mean like ask questions of like other people's opinions?
Yeah, of course, because I think it'd work.
Yeah, there's only 2 other people here, but I mean that should be fine.
It's nice when people are here. So yeah.
Yeah, not to mention if you're like watching this on YouTube, it'll make it seem more interesting as well.
Yeah. So but yeah, I think we'll finish this topic off just a little bit first though. So I guess probably around 5 minutes or so. But because I'm trying to aim it to be about 20 minutes per topic. But to even it out the time.
I think we should mention what about the people with bad internet like me? Like mine goes 6 megabits per second. It took me like maybe 3 days straight to download GTA 5.
Yeah. And not to mention, games are getting bigger than that nowadays. GTA 5 is an older game, even if it is very uncompressed. It's an older game. And it's games are only going to get bigger. Yeah,
it's true. As technology progresses, like now we got ray tracing and stuff. You can't just put that in there with like no extra storage bump,
No.
That's something you can do.
Well, I will say though, on PC at least, NVIDIA does do a really good job at minimizing ray tracing, so, when it takes file size wise. Because it doesn't require like any high resolution textures or anything, although generally you want that to make it look better. But I don't know if it's the same on console, because NVIDIA may not. I think it's AMD who does it on console, actually.
Yeah, AMD made both of the GPUs for both new generation consoles. I think it's cool. Yeah. I think it's nice that AMD's finally getting the recognition that they deserve.
Oh yeah, especially on the processor market. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah. Another thing is, like, obviously the main thing about removing the disk drive is like, oh, but it's so much smaller and you can save some money. I don't think that's worth it, really.
No, I really don't think it is either. Because if you say, okay, look at the Xbox One S, for example, versus the all digital edition. It's the same price, and you're not really saving much.
Well, it's actually $50 cheaper if you bought them both retail. But no one buys the One S retail, and they always go on sale. Like they
must have lowered it. I thought they were both $250.
No, the SAD edition, as people have named it, because it's S all digital. I love that acronym. It's actually only $200 brand new.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it's still not worth it because they really cheated on that one, because all they done was take out the disk drive. That's all they done.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the same size. It doesn't change.
No.
But on the newer consoles though, obviously the PS5 they just chopped off that little like
sliver
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the shape, the polygon.
Yeah, and then on I was trying to thought. Oh, on the Series X, which is a stupid name by the way. For the S, they completely made it smaller. Like it's almost like streaming box size, really, like a bigger streaming box. It's crazy how small they got that.
Yeah, I know. Especially considering it has the newer hardware. Well, not. Yeah. I think they do have a couple downsides, like the storage is smaller. But aside from that,
well. The storage is smaller, and technically the resolution's gimped. Like it's not true 4K, and it can't play.
Or no, we'll technically not true 8K, because it can do 4K just fine, just like an Xbox Series X.
Yeah, that's what it was. Of course, how many people actually have an 8K TV?
Yeah, that's true.
I sure don't. I still have a 1080p TV, and my eyes are terrible. And
I only just recently got a 4K TV, so yeah.
I don't find 4K to be that much of an advantage. Maybe that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, it's honestly, I really don't think reduced size and price is worth it because you only drop about $100 really, and it doesn't really cost Sony that much more to just mass produce disk drives and put them in. Like, you're not really saving that much more money.
Oh no, yeah, I definitely agree with there.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
the only maybe if you had like really good internet, which I don't, mine's garbage.
Yeah.
Maybe I could see buying one without a disk drive, but it's really going to impact game preservation because
Oh yeah.
eventually someday it's going to be gone. There will be no more disks.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's the,
Yeah, it's inevitable. They're gonna try to remove it, whether that's
Yeah.
tomorrow or whether that's 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah, it's just going to happen, and that means that like my Xbox One games, which I don't own very many of physically, actually. I know I'm just talking about how much I like physical games, but I never
Yeah.
find them out in the wild, so I don't buy them often.
Yeah.
Someday my Xbox One games could be worth like a fortune just because it's really hard to find the hardware to play them on.
Yeah, and the same could be said about the Series S. I mean, Series X and PS5 games, because with them having a base model now that doesn't have digital editions, say many years from now when their old technology like the Nintendo 64 and GameCube is to us now, it could be going GameCube prices. It could be $100, $200 for a game, if not more.
Yeah, I know. Let's say theoretically, the PS6, and we'll call it the Xbox Series XX. Let's say that disk drives go the way of the dodo, right? They're gone. That's it. No
Yeah.
more. That means if they want to make Xbox One games backwards compatible, those discs, useless.
Oh yeah, that too. You
can't
pretty
use
much
them.
if you didn't buy digital, you pretty much have no game on
And
the
then
new consoles.
let's say mid-year they discontinue, completely the PS5 and the Series X before the new theoretical consoles. That means game shelves at like Walmart stuff empty.
Oh yeah.
There will be nothing there.
Yeah, not to mention retail stores are gonna kind of not really struggle, but like they're gonna be missing in section if you get what I mean. Like because
Yeah,
they're not gonna have anything physical they can sell other than maybe code cards. But
yeah.
Yeah.
No one buys code cards because the physical games always go on sale. So why would you pay $60 with code card?
not to mention there's only really one case where a code card's more easier, and that's just straight up if you're trying to get somebody a gift or something, and you just want something in the package. But that's about it.
Yeah, I think another reason I hate disk drives going away is like for right now, anyways. Right? Let's say you have a Series S, right, and you ask Grandma for like the new Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
She's like, "Okay, Sonny, I'll pop over to the Target," or she gets it physical, and then you have to explain to Grandma that you needed a gift card.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then-
Either a code card or a gift card. Yeah.
And then she's like, "What do you mean? I got the exact game you wanted. I even asked the nice store employee." Grandma's
Yeah.
not going to understand.
No, she's not.
It's-
And I mean, I will say though, as this is kind of just a little bit off topic, I'm going to bring it back, but just as I will say though, as like time goes on and tech becomes more and more relevant in our daily lives, like I'm sure there's like say 2090, there's going to be a lot more just naturally technology oriented people than there are in today's world, just
Of
because
course.
it's come more relevant. They teach it more often. But that's another topic,
Exactly.
like I said.
Exactly. Like someday Grandma's going to die, and we're never going to have that problem again of like no one knowing that that you don't need the physical version, because someday physical versions of games
Yeah.
won't exist.
Yeah, that was kind of a little brutal though, but yeah, the way you worded that.
well,
but yeah, I get it.
I
though.
guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like a theoretical grandma. Don't mean your grandma specifically is going to up and die.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh.
I don't mean to be rude, but to be fair, I think all of ours are probably yeah. Anyway, that's way too deep. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
when you say it's about time we get some people who have had questions on here.
Well, what they need to raise their hand first.
Yeah, they'll
to,
need to
you
raise
know,
their hand.
consent
But
to coming on.
I'm officially opening it now. Raise your hand if you want to speak. We'll answer anything. If nobody answers, then I guess we'll move on. Nobody raises, then I guess we'll move on.
Yeah, if you just have like maybe a question of something that
Or
maybe you don't
if you just
understand.
have an opinion you want to share on something we've shared. Just a quick
I talked
opinion.
about before. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you guys just a couple minutes, or just a couple seconds, and then if nobody raises, there should be a button at the bottom of your screen if you're on PC for Discord if you want to raise somewhere down there. Well, I know,
Yeah, I'm assuming
I know.
it-
Kenny's. I tripped down here as a mod. I don't know if it gives him that option. So if Kenny, if you have a question, just move on to the stage. But yeah,
I don't know
Yeah.
how that works, actually.
Yeah, I do. I've tested it. So yeah. So yeah, or Trip, if you have a question, just move on stage, or if I don't even know what that name is. Yellow icon. We'll call you Yellow icon. If you
It's
have.
Bunny Productions. It's actually my sister. It's the name of her YouTube channel.
Okay. Well, Bunny Productions. If you want to hop on, just raise your hand.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll definitely appreciate that shout out and will probably definitely yell at me later, you know.
Okay. Okay. She wants to speak, but she got rid of it immediately. Okay.
That's interesting.
Well, let me see if it lets me move you real fast. Move to no. I'm just seeing if it's got the option. Oh, there it is. Invite to speak. There we go. Yeah. There we go. You have any questions or any opinion you want to share?
I think they should get rid of the disk drive.
How come? Elaborate.
Yeah, elaborate.
It's not useful. It's not useful.
Wow.
Too much.
What makes you say it's not useful?
I just feel like it could get stuck and stuff, so it might break your whole entire system if you try to fix it.
That's a good point. I guess it is kind of a weak point to the system.
Yeah, I get what she's saying. She means just like the Achilles heel. Like that's usually the first thing that breaks on a console, which
That's
is
true.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think there's more benefits than downsides, though. But good opinion, though.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Is that all? All you wanted to share?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll move you back to the audience then. Okay. I don't know if Trip wanted to share anything. If he didn't want to share anything, that's fine. He can just kind of stay in the background.
That's fine. I
okay.
feel kind of bad though for almost like pressuring the audience. Hey, you need to join.
No, I don't. Yeah, I wasn't trying to, but yeah, it's still like, yeah. I just kind of wanted to give everybody the chance, you know?
Yeah, like audience integration. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think. I don't know if you're trying to raise your hand. If you got anything else to say, I will move you back on though. Can I just do this? There we go. Was there something else you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
How often are you gonna do podcasts?
Oh.
That's a good question. It'll probably, I don't know, just depends on how often we can do it. I would like to do it once a week, but I don't know how that'll settle with, Ethan over here. So.
Yeah, I'd like to make it a weekly thing as well. I think as long as we have time, we'll probably always have it around 5 p.m. though, whenever we have it, just because that's a good time to do stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it's like midday. It's like around before usually average dinner time,
Yeah.
Or if someone in the chat is just eating dinner already, they could just hop on and watch,
Yeah.
It's just convenient.
Yeah. I can't guarantee it'll happen every week, but I think that's what we're gonna try to aim for here.
Yeah. Today's Wednesday, right? It's
Yeah.
middle of the week. I would ideally like to do it every Wednesday, or like maybe we'll move it to the weekend.
Yeah, not to mention the weekend would be difficult for me because I got to go to families every other weekend. But I definitely think Wednesday is one of my easiest days. So yeah, sounds good to me. And so it's just what we're gonna plan on though. Don't take it as like, yes, that's happening every weekday.
Yeah. If you're interested, whenever we will have our podcast, just check the announcements. It'll be there.
Oh yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah. We're going to have an announcement at least every hour or so before we want to do it.
Yeah. Anyway, is that all?
Is it always gonna be about video games?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
video game technology, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're not exactly going to start like reviewing the newest Ferraris.
Yeah. No. Okay. But yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time we transition into our last topic, don't you?
Okay. Yeah. Let me go ahead and move her back to the audience. Okay.
Yay.
Okay. She's back in
All
the
right.
audience. Okay.
And our last topic is how soon or at all should Sony and Microsoft discontinue the PS4 and Xbox One series consoles.
Yeah. So I mean I think all of us can agree here that it shouldn't happen today, obviously, but
of course, like not. I shouldn't be able to wake up tomorrow and like my console say like, oh, sorry, we're not making games anymore. You can like trade it in or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. We mean like how soon in the foreseeable future should they discontinue it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's if you've ever looked at like Nintendo, they seem to be about the quickest to discontinue compared to other people.
They really do. Like they done the same thing twice on the GameCube. One of its last games was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, I believe.
Yes, I think that.
And they made that game a launch title for the Wii because it was so close together.
Oh yeah.
So, really, the GameCube, one of the last GameCube games was one of the first Wii games, and they done the same thing for the Wii and the Switch.
Yes.
Ironically, once again with Zelda,
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was the last game for the Wii U, and was the first game for the Switch.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think okay. So how I want to put this is, if you look at Nintendo, they do tend to do it a little quicker. But that's just because Nintendo is less about, it's more the family gamer. Like they don't have any hardcore games that have like serious online support aside from the competitive ones like Smash. But like it's not like every game on the console is like that.
Yeah,
and
it's not. It's not like every Wii U owner is going to be like dying to play Splatoon 2 because they have Splatoon 1, and the games are still functionally the same, so they're not really going to be missing that much,
Yeah, it's the worst part is just the player base, but yeah, like people actually playing the game. But aside from that, like the way I wanted to transition that was, if you look at something like the Xbox, between the One and the Series X, when they have more hardcore big games that are more AAA, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, like the new Halo Infinite supposed to be coming out. Yeah,
yeah, and so people naturally want these games to last longer, and they're just because they're not like quick Mario Kart games. They're like full story games, and
exactly.
Nintendo has those, but they're usually shorter. But anyway, and whenever you go to, so usually because of this, they like to have that extra, a little bit of wiggle room. So they usually do 2 consoles. But even then, like that even if it is 2 consoles, that rule. Whenever, say, as you said, like Xbox Series XX comes out, well, that's in reality, when it's probably once they announce them, they can pretty much just continue the Xbox One anytime they want.
Of course.
Which if we look at the 360, that they are kind of waiting quite a while for the 360, but 360 was a pretty successful console.
Yeah, like I'm really glad personally that Microsoft isn't trying to discontinue stores. Honestly, I thought they would do it before Sony, Sony switched up management and stuff, and now they're moving away from backwards compatibility entirely.
Yeah.
But I think Microsoft is, like, even though for some reason there's so many die-hard Sony fans that would die on that hill, I think console wars are pointless. But right now, I really think that Microsoft's doing the right thing by like allowing backwards compatibility in older consoles to really drag out.
Yeah. Well, I will say that in my opinion, console wars are kind of like they're a nice marketing point. It gets more people to hear about the consoles. But aside from that, yeah, they're not the greatest. They're just means for age.
Really, I think it just shows how childish some people can be by being like, oh, why PS5 so much better than your Series X? And then, like, really, they both pretty much play the same games. Like, of course, that's
like when you were a kid and like you were like, oh, this red truck down here is way better than your blue Hot Wheels truck. It can go faster, Like that's what it is at this point.
As a kid, you wanted to be validated that what you bought and what you had was better than everyone else's. And the fact that there are grown adults that will write articles slamming newest consoles for fun is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, but I
watch Plain Rock 124 a lot just because I find tech destruction interesting. But there was a fake Facebook post that went viral. They were like, "Oh, it's so sad to see fans destroying their own consoles," but when that's not what he was doing. He does it because he knows people likes to watch it. But people take stories like that and twist them to reignite the console wars.
Yep. Heck, the Xbox One and the PS4 were going up till, not even like within the year before the announcement of the new consoles.
Really, the console wars have never been the same since Sega left. Like, they were really trying to bash Nintendo, right? like after that, they really died down. They still exist, but it's mainly between fans, you know. Like,
it's not companies trying to make big moves. Like, we got the kind of like the old Apple versus Microsoft commercials.
Yeah,
they don't do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, like Sony isn't like gonna wake up tomorrow and make an ad saying, "Yo, bro, Master Chief, he sucks." Like, I bet he doesn't even like collect
he
doesn't
know how to open rifts to Ratchet and Clank universes, you know?
Yeah, like it's not gonna happen. So really, they've never been truly like that. When like back in the day, you know, there's that infamous ad of the two, the two. Dang it, what was it? I think it was an SNES and a Sega Genesis on the back of cars, right? So you're like, look, because the Sega Genesis has blast processing, it's so much faster. So it's on a race car, and no, that's not really going to happen. Like no one really cares like that, especially not in marketing departments.
No. I think in fact I think the only case where they have done that is just trying to spark wars on Twitter. That's about it.
Yeah.
Companies if I don't know if you've noticed, but companies can post one thing, you know, and enrage fans, and then after that and not even try to enrage fans, and the rest of their tweets are just filled with people yelling at each other. To be fair, that's mostly Twitter nowadays, but like. Companies don't help this.
Yeah, they don't.
They usually have one kind of ignition tweet, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like part of you saying that is just because you really hate the Pokemon fan base now.
No, don't worry. Actually, it's starting to even out now. Believe it or not, but back when they first released Sword and Shield, man, it was bad.
Yeah.
But I will say though, even like considering that, it's still a pretty valid point, you know.
Yeah. Another thing is the Series X and S. They use they're pretty much just another Xbox One, really.
Yeah.
They're just weirder looking. Like they use, as far as I know, they use the same software. Of course, I don't own one because no one owns one.
Yeah, they use the same software, just added added support for like the new controller buttons, but that's about it.
Yeah, of course. So really, there's no point for Microsoft to immediately discontinue the Xbox One, and I don't think they will. I think they'll keep it around. And honestly, considering I own an Xbox One S now and I love it, like it's one of my favorite consoles, really.
Yeah. From what I hear, your only complaint is pretty much just the storage, but yeah.
Yeah, the storage sucks. I have the 500 gigabyte. I regret that, but it's not like I could change it, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't really see Microsoft in the foreseeable future discontinuing it, really, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, they might stop selling it, but I do believe companies, at least, will continue to make games for it. Because right now, for the newer consoles, it takes so much resources to directly develop for them that they're just taking old games, porting them up, or games that were already going to come out for the Xbox One, or PS5, they're just taking, like, a little bit of extra resources to make like maybe a month or two after they release, they'll make a patch that'll add like ray tracing or faster loading times or stuff.
Not to mention, a lot of these smaller studios really have no reason to release some of the new consoles. They won't get any of the benefits with their 8-bit style games like Stardew Valley or like things like that. You know, they're not going to get any benefit from the new hardware. Most they'll get is loading times, but even that's not that hard on a lot of these indie games.
Of course, because right now, not everyone owns a PS5 or Series X, and the price is $500 right now. I find that way too high. Honestly.
That's if you want a disk drive and the extra storage. But yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I know. No, I know you do. But
yeah. But like exactly. Maybe whenever they finally get like that price cut to like maybe $400, right? Let's say they both get a price cut for $400. Sony and Microsoft figure out stock issues and they start going back in stores everywhere. I think that's when games and production for Xbox One games will slow down, but they won't stop though. At least digitally, they won't stop.
Yeah,
you know, just because apparently it's really easy to release games for the Xbox One. You remember we both played what was like Kitty's Adventure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kitty's Adventure for Xbox One. It was a free game made from a dude literally just straight up in memory to his cat that he released.
Yeah,
it was just a maze game. And it didn't have like the most wowing graphics, but the fact that you could even post something on that, Microsoft wasn't like, oh no, you got to be like high quality. It's
because doesn't it cost like maybe what is it, $20? I think a year to get your
no, it's
Xbox
just $20 at all now. I believe.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it is 2
Um,
years, but I think it is, if I remember correctly, it's just at all, just to get the development license, you know. Now, and the best part is you can actually get free development kits once you release your first game.
or even then, part of that is you don't even really need a development kit. You can convert your
Oh, yeah.
existing Xbox One into a
Exactly.
development kit.
Yeah, once you have that license, you can do the same thing with your existing Xbox One.
But then we have Sony over here making, just amazing decisions, like the fact that you have to pay what is it, $200 for access to a development
Yeah.
kit, and even then, you're
And
only
even then, the
renting it
license
after
itself
you
is
pay.
ridiculous. Back
Yeah,
before
yeah.
I think they lowered it like in the past couple of years, but back like right after the PS4s come out, it was thousands of dollars to get a license. No joke. I think it was like $1,200.
Yeah, really, even now, no one releases indie games on that. They all go to the Switch or the Xbox One. I don't know what the situation is with the Switch, but it has to be really cheap to make it because
Yeah,
the store is
it
flooded
does.
with garbage.
Not only that, and most of it's just mobile games too, reported for a couple bucks.
It really is. It's really an interesting situation right now. Yeah, but then you look at the PS4, and we've just discussed that Sony apparently just does not like game preservation. So I believe that the PS4 will be discontinued before the Xbox One.
Oh no, especially with what they did with the PS3 versus the Xbox 360, like now. Yeah, it's definitely that I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it to be a very stupid stance, like market wise. Like, why would you want to rely on your crappy streaming service that doesn't even have all the exclusive PS3 games on it, that like barely even functions to like be your entire back catalog? Like now, anytime someone's like, "Oh, why are you shutting down the stores?" They're like, "But we have PS Now," and that's not a good reason.
Not to mention PS Now is kind of like it's its own thing. Whereas with the Xbox's xCloud, it's actually included straight up with just Game Pass. Any version of Game Pass.
Yeah, like honestly, Game Pass is a really good investment, especially compared to PS Now. Because like on
Yeah.
Game Pass, there are games releasing day one
On Game Pass. Heck, even I think the Forza games get released day one on the Game Pass now.
Yeah, it's so much better value than PS Now. PS Now is just like, I don't know, it's like your 1-year-old cousin who is just like eating dirt. It just
Yeah, that's an interesting correlation, but no, I'm kidding.
yeah, exactly. Put it this way, it's like a weaker in a way,
Yeah.
Honestly,
It's like,
I
oh,
feel
I'm
like
eating dirt. You could be I could be eating like steak right now, but no, I'm just eating dirt.
exactly. It's kind of like let's put it this way. Let's say Sony is the parent in this situation, right? And like us, the consumers, are the kid, right? Let's say Sony's over here eating like a deliciously cooked filet mignon, but like 20 of them, right? We're like, oh, could we have some of that? They're like, no, you have cold noodles. Isn't that good enough?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the cold noodles represents PS Now because it's like leftovers, it's scraps. No one wants that.
Yeah.
It's not good. It doesn't function. The only time it functions is if you have like gigabit of Ethernet. Even then,
Yeah.
people complain that the latency is still terrible.
Yeah, and most of that latency probably comes from server side just because of all the people that are just like, fine, I'll deal with it. Or actually, it could even be the lack of people, actually.
It could be. I mean,
It-
I've tried to use it. I've only got it to play a game twice.
To be fair,
and
you do have pretty bad internet, but like,
I do, but actually, my internet is the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's
that they
true.
recommend. I'm supposed to get 6 megabits per second. They recommend 5. So at like 4 in the morning, when I try to play a game, it'll load, and the
480p.
latency. Yeah, it's literally 480p. If I leave it idle for too long, it slowly drops resolution and fails. I have to play it or it will fail.
Yeah.
Then the latency is only sometimes noticeable. When it's noticeable, it's noticeable.
Oh yeah.
It's
Ugh.
yeah, it's not a good look for game preservation at all. It's not what
No.
we want. Like I relate back to Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like they recently remade that, and that's way better for game preservation. Not to mention, limited run games made a limited run of it, so that way diehard fans of the series can get physical copies.
Oh yeah. Not to mention, like,
You know what?
and not to mention, I know like some developers will make like a limited run physical copy too, and just make it like their physical. The only form of physical copy is kind of limited run. say they sold it for, say, 6 months, and then you couldn't buy it anymore. Hey, like what they did with Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Yeah,
They had no
just
reason
about
to do
mention
with that, but yeah.
Yeah. Super Mario 3D All Stars is also terrible for game preservation. Like, apparently, in Nintendo's official stores, they ripped them off the shelves. Then at, like, Walmart and Target, they just let sales trickle out. It's ridiculous. That means scalpers are going to come in and be like, oh, man, this game's so rare now, even though they sold millions of copies.
Yeah. But when it was
me
being
and you
sold...
both have...
Because they didn't have any stock issues.
Copies,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we both do have copies. That's just because people had so much stock, thinking, hey, it's going to go up in price, that they actually made it not go up in price at all. It went down by like $5 to $10.
I remember whenever people first started getting their hands on it, there were scalpers trying to sell it for $65 to $70 on eBay. I've seen some people trying to sell it for $100, which was stupid because I could go to Walmart and see 10 copies.
Oh yeah.
It's an anniversary game. Even though Nintendo made it limited, there was no lack of stock. And what I think they're actually going to do is, I believe that maybe for like the next anniversary of Mario, maybe they'll take like leftover stock that they had whenever they pulled off the stores, be like, oh, get them hot, $70. We include the pins with the launch. Like quickly sell off the extra stock. So they either that or they're going to pull like, an ET for the Atari 2600 and bury him in a desert.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's a literal expression of sweeping under the rug. We've hit about an hour now, but there's one last thing I want to mention. Loop it all back to our beginning topic, right?
Okay.
With Sony shutting down the PS3 and PSP and PS Vita stores, I really think what they should do for the PS3 and PS Vita, because as I said earlier, the PSP doesn't have a real store anymore. It's just the servers themselves are gone.
Yeah.
I really think what they should do is maybe for like the last month, they should have a blowout sale where everything becomes dirt cheap. So that way, people who were like crying, oh man, I really want this game, but so much, I don't have the money right now, could afford it,
Yeah, at least have a reason to get your games downloaded, or at least some encouragement to get them down before they're out,
Exactly. I want to be able to like go out and buy a $10 PlayStation gift card, be able to come out with 5 good games, because they're shutting down the store. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that,
Oh yeah, not to mention it's caused to get a last-ditch effort for money, right at the end of the console's lifetime.
It would be good for developers. It would be good for Sony themselves. Not to mention, theoretically, in a perfect world, they could straight up, reignite interest in the store, show that people do care and keep up, the service. Of course, that will never happen though because they're Sony.
Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, no, we know Sony won't do something like that, but it would be nice if they did. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I feel like if they did do that though, I would definitely take part in it because, as I said, I really want those Sonic games, but it's just a bit too much right now, in my opinion. Put it this way: if they don't engage a sale, I might end up buying them at the last month the store is open because I kind of want them,
Yeah.
But to be fair, Sony isn't really giving me a reason to buy them on the PS3 compared to the 360 because I think they only have 3 games there, Sonic games that are exclusive to the store. So there's not really, much of a point to not just buy them on 360 because the main 2 I want are the Sonic Adventure games. They reported HD. They're not good ports, but they're still playable. They didn't add any glitches. They just didn't really put it into widescreen, which some people don't like.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got enough content here. I feel we should probably wrap it up right now.
I do believe we have reached the end of our podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, I guess subscribe to whoever you're watching this on.
Yeah. Subscribe to both if you can. But and if you if you're watching this in the future, you might see another episode open your sidebar. So feel free to click that if you're just studying or something and want something to listen to.
I want this podcast to be something that you don't have to really listen to. It's something that you could maybe sit down and do the dishes or something and just share your opinions on it.
You mean the exact way I usually listen to a podcast?
I don't listen to
It's the only time I think about it.
I personally don't listen to very many podcasts, but this was really fun, and I definitely think there will be more episodes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But wouldn't it be funny if it ends up being like the only episode? This becomes like extremely meta.
Let's just not foreshadow it, okay? You're supposed to not foreshadow stuff like that. Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's the end of the podcast. Thank you guys for dropping in and listening. I've been Gently Used Gaming, and he's been Not Gently Used Gaming.
Yeah, not Gently Used Gaming here.
All right. Well, until next time. Bye, I guess.
See you guys later.